Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer online action. This is game 2 of the series between myself and Shadow Online Gaming. Of course, I'll have a link to his channel down below. Definitely recommend you guys check him out. So this game is that I will take the Beastmen, and he has taken the Empire. So definitely in for a fun time. Let's go ahead and take a look at the army builds. My forces are led by a Beast Lord on a chariot. He's got Healing Potion, Deadly Onslaught, Apocalyptic Vision, and the Horn of the First Beast. So this is a pretty nice augment. It gives charge bonus melee attack, weapon damage. Very, very nice to use in a charge scenario when combined with another chariot, centaurs, even with your infantry. It can be very, very useful. We've also got a Bray Shaman Lore of Wild. He's carrying Viletide, Devolve, and of course the Bestial Surge Lore attribute, which gives the 10% Vigor buff every time he casts a spell. So very good stuff. Front line's all Gore Herds with shields for the missile block chance. We've got one Ungor Spearman Herd on each flank, and one more in the rear here. Best Gore Herd and the Koroks Man Rippers for some armor-piercing support. In this forest here, we've got the Gorbel. We've also got two Centaurs with great weapons, of course, one of them being the Regiment of Renown Sons of Goros. And up here we do have one more Centaur, this one with throwing axes. So definitely some nice tactical maneuverability. Definitely like these guys, and on this map I'm glad I brought them because I definitely needed to do some scouting. For Shadow's forces, up here on the hill, he's got a very cool crusade build with Volkmar up on the chariot, front line of great swords, swordsmen with spearmen on the flanks, backed up by halberdiers. We've got the silver bullets as well as the Tattersouls, the flagellant Regiment of Renown. Over here in the forest, he's also got two Knights of the Blazing Sun, so definitely very cool sort of crusade-themed build. Knights of the Blazing Sun are a pretty good pick against the Beastmen as well, with their 76 charge bonus, which is absolutely massive, very devastating against even armored infantry. They will trade somewhat inefficiently with the Centaurs with great weapons if they don't get the proper charge, but we'll see. Just moving my Centaurs with throwing axes up, going to be pitching some axes into these halberdiers here. They're going to chase these guys off, but they're not a super high value target, and I did take a nice little volley from the silver bullets. Didn't do too much damage, just a little bit of HP damage, but nothing too substantial. Just pushing my forces up the hill, going to meet the Empire lines here, and it's definitely going to be a wild fight as these two forces come together here. Knights of the Blazing Sun now being activated. This mobile force of mine is still hidden in the woods though, so he hasn't seen these guys yet. He's going to bring these Knights of the Blazing Sun and attempt to get in on this flank here, and I'm going to be able to get a nice counter charge out from the woods with these guys. In the mainline fight, Volkmar's Terror is actually going to be a huge issue for these low-tier Gores. As he comes in and kind of rear charges them and does quite a bit of shock damage, he actually causes fear and terror when he's up on this chariot. He's also unbreakable, lots of other good stuff. The Jade Griffin is himself healing. He's very, very powerful actually against the Beastmen. You can see the leadership is already becoming an issue for a lot of these lower tier troops, and very soon we're going to start to see some of them terror rout off. Meanwhile, my chariots are also wreaking havoc over on this end of the line, going together, dropping a nice devolve here just to get the maximum effect to leadership. We've also got the Knights of the Blazing Sun here, got a beautiful rear charge on these Ungor Spearman Herd. I was a bit slow to react with my Centaurs, but we are now going to bring them in for a nice rear charge onto the Knights of the Blazing Sun. They're going to pull away and just attempt to break up the rest of this mainline fight, which is probably good idea. They definitely just want to try and deal as much damage to the infantry as possible. You can see these guys have already been routed off once. Volkmar now terror routing this other unit off, and it's going to be a rough time for these Gore Herds. They are not going to have too good of a time in this fight. These Best Gore Herd also not trading super efficiently with the great swords there. Very nice Viletide though, right on the silver bullets, getting some nice value out of that. Over here, the Centaurs with great weapons unfortunately are caught up on flagellants, which I mean they'll definitely win that fight, but it's not a real efficient trade for them. Meanwhile, these Knights of the Blazing Sun just continuing to get around on some of these outlying units, some of them that are separated, and although the Ungor Spearman Herd do have a bonus versus large, they'll take a ton of shock damage there, and they're not going to be happy about that at all. Meanwhile, the Centaurs with throwing axes just kind of ping-ponging around the back line here, as well as my two chariots. We're going to bring them in for a great rear charge here, timed beautifully with the devolve for maximum leadership damage, and it's going to be a rough time for these Empire State troops here. Meanwhile, Volkmar also cleaving into the sides of my forces, and now the two chariots coming together here. There also was a warrior priest in here that I failed to mention earlier. So he's definitely helped holding the leadership of the Empire forces here together. Otherwise, we probably would have routed off all those guys with that devolve and rear charge. But, you know, these warrior priests here still holding together. The mainline fight has mostly gone in the Empire's favor. The terror from Volkmar has just been an absolute menace. You can see most of my Gors and Ungors routing off. Only the best Gors standing around here. This unit of Ungor Spearman herd's about to get pancaked. Oh, beautiful charge there by the Knights of the Blazing Sun, and that's going to be a great get for them. However, I am starting to get a bit ahead on the balance of power here, just because a lot of the Empire infantry is fairly tattered as well. He does have this unit of Knights of the Blazing Sun that's fairly healthy, and he's salvaging a few of these infantry units here, but the Koroks Man Ripper is still doing very well here in the center. The Centaurs with throwing axes also just kind of circle beating on this Warrior Priest is a bit unfortunate. The Centaurs with great weapons as well, still very healthy. They're now going to get in on these Knights of the Blazing Sun and finally try and silence them. They've been just an absolute menace this entire battle, but you can see them getting dragged down by these great weapon Centaurs, and they're definitely going to rout off the field after that. Meanwhile, just the state troops remaining. Volkmar actually doing very well, almost taking down my lord there. So I'm going to have to be very careful with him, but Gorbel is still very healthy, and he is a force to be reckoned with, even if he does get punted around a little bit by Volkmar. But once he stands up and starts getting attacks on the chariot, it's going to be a bad day for Volkmar. Come on, Gorbel, get him. There we go. Smack him. Yeah. These Sons of Goros getting a nice charge in here, getting in on the flank of these Halberdiers. Halberdiers, you know, are an interesting unit. You would think they'd be pretty good, but I found their attack speed is a little bit low, and they're not generally super cost effective. They do have pretty decent stats all around, but, you know, typically I just like to bring the cheap spearmen, but right now it looks like most of the Empire forces are shattering off. Only Volkmar remains here, unbreakable as he is on this chariot, and Gorbel's going to cleave him right off, so rough day for Volkmar. But the rest of the Empire forces at that are pretty much going to shatter. Just a few remaining flagellants here fighting. But yeah, well played to Shadow Online Gaming. Man, that terror from Volkmar had me on the edge of my seat there. That was pretty rough, and he almost took down that Beast Lord. Even with the Potion of Healing, he took a ton of damage there. So well played to Shadow, and definitely enjoyed that battle. Let's go ahead and take a look at the breakdown. Let's see. Yeah, the Centaurs with great weapons here paying dividends. 106 kills and 84 kills here. 103 on the Centaurs with throwing axes. Definitely the superior mobility of the Beastmen gives them, you know, you definitely have to use that to your advantage. I personally am not a big fan of Minotaurs. I'd much rather go with the Centaurs. I think they're a lot better pick, personally. The Koroks Man Rippers standing and fighting for quite a while as well. 87 kills is great. 69 on the best Gore Herd is not terrible, but you probably want a little bit more from there. 103 on the Beast Lord is fantastic. Man, those guys on the chariot, 68 on the Brave Shaman as well. Those guys can rack up kills in a big hurry. You've got to be careful that they don't get gooned, but you know, if your opponent doesn't have the tools to deal with them in a late game scenario, it can be a really rough day. The Ungor Spearman herd and the Gore herd with shields didn't do a whole lot. They mostly got terror routed off by Volkmar, who himself picked up 78 kills. Very nice. 161 kills on this unit of Knights of the Blazing Sun and an XP Chevron. Both of these started with one, but this one gained an additional one from just rampaging around my backlines. They did a ton of damage to a lot of those cheap infantry, which is very good. I definitely like these guys in this matchup. Reichsguard are very good as well, and a bit cheaper, but Knights of the Blazing Sun, you know, fit in with this kind of thematic build, so I definitely like that. 74 kills on the Greatswords is nice, and 51 on these Tattersouls is an admirable showing as well. Only 3 on the Silver Bullets is a bit unfortunate. Probably wanted to keep them just a little bit further back from the main fighting since they have stock. But, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of high-value targets for them to shoot at here. These warrior priests, you know, 30 kills each, and they held the leadership of the Empire troops together, so, you know, I might actually start bringing one of these guys just to hold my infantry line together, almost as like a Grail relic. But I really like this kind of crusade thematic build. Very well played to Shadow. Like I said in the beginning, check out his channel if you haven't already. He's a good guy, and yeah, we'll have a couple more battles with him coming up soon. So very excited about that. We're just a week out from Total War Warhammer 2 as well, so get excited about that. I know I sure am. If you like this kind of content, like it and subscribe. Keep it right here for more Total War Warhammer content, and we'll see you guys next time.